Hi.
Hi.
We're back.
So you look blown out again.
The light's doing weird shit because I keep closing and opening this, and then I just look like a transcendent being from another realm. Oh no, that one's up there. Is it this one? No.
I don't know what it is.
Listen, that's all the blinds closed and nothing has changed. Anyway.
But we didn't do anything to the light.
Oh, okay. I'll sit. I think it's the way the light is shining in. I'll move to the side like this.
See, that's better.
Maybe Spirit's with us. Maybe it's saying, hi guys.
That's what our little card pull said.
Spirit is with us.
And we've just got to open our eyes to see.
Yes. So this is number 3. Can't believe we're 3 down. We seem to be doing this every fortnight, so I feel like we'll just stick to that schedule.
Okay.
And welcome back. Hi.
Hello.
Naomi.
Kira.
And we're drinking tea, yeah. It's like late in the afternoon here on a Sunday. Oh, is it Sunday? Oh, it's Sunday.
It is Sunday.
Work tomorrow. And we just thought we'd pop on to say hi. And what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about lots of different things, really.
Well,
it's just been a new moon, so we've been doing things for that. Kira's the same height as me today because she's upped her chair.
I can't actually touch the ground.
She's sitting on a booster seat.
Can't really touch the ground too well.
Touch the ground. That's okay. That's just because I'm tall and she's shorter. I think you're just normal height. I'm actually not abnormally tall. Everyone in my family is really tall, so.
I think I'm a little bit short though, because my 13-year-old daughter is taller than me now. And she likes to remind me.
You're just going to have to put up with the fact that I might just look like eyes in a mouth. Look, it's just eyes in a mouth. It's going up and down. It must just be the way the lights, like, you know, with the sun setting, maybe it's just doing weird shit. Anyway, there's no point fixing it because we turned lights on, we closed the blinds, and it was still doing it.
Just go with it.
You look very refreshed. I feel haggard today. I actually haven't slept that much.
I feel like I look haggard. Like I was at the beach yesterday and I had a shower and washed it all off, but I didn't re-wash my hair because.
So you just left it sandy and salty?
No, because I wasn't actually in the water. It was just a little bit windy.
What did I do yesterday? My daughter had a sleepover. So they were in my house.
Was that fun?
Yeah, it was loads of fun. I really enjoyed it. It was hectic. Both of them were crazy together, so it was a lot to handle. And Ben, my other son, I only have one son, one daughter. He came in to me and he was like, Molly, when are they going home? And I was like, I don't know, Ben. He's 13 going on 14, so he's in that zone where everybody's like, bro, yes, can I help you? That's all he says whenever you open the door. Did I tell you he asked me to knock on his door the other day? Yeah. He said, like, could you knock? And I went, no, I'm not going to knock at my own house, Ben. And I was like, okay. I just feel like you should knock. And I was like, yeah, not going to. Anyway, fair enough, beside the point. What's he doing in there that he needs me to knock? And it's only because he wants to mute his mic.
Yeah, so he doesn't want his friends to hear you.
And I was like, do you want your friends just not think that you live on your own?
The funny thing is,
you don't have a mother?
Willow does the same thing because she chats to her friends while she's playing games and stuff. And I go in and she's exactly the same as Ben, actually. I go in and she's like, until they press.
And like, if I start talking immediately, which I just do on purpose sometimes, he like scrambles for the mic to mute it and he goes, man! And I'm like, what the hell? I was going to swear there, but I remembered I'm online.
I swore on the other ones, both of them.
Did you?
If memory serves me right.
I think you might have, Kira. I think, yeah.
I really need to stop swearing.
Oh, well, that's not going to happen. I'm not even going to make that pledge because I don't want to, and it's not going to happen. So, anyway,
back to Witchy Chats.
So we're just doing Witchy Chats. This is what our channel is all about. We really don't know what it's about just yet. We're just sort of like evolving it. But we just like to come on and have a chat because we usually meet up every fortnight. Actually, a couple times because we meet up for the circles, and we meet up to just talk crap about people. No. That's a lie. Okay.
But then why don't we start about talking about the circle that we did on Friday?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was on Friday. So we went to another coven circle on, well, it's not a coven, but it's a circle for witches. I suppose you could call it a modern coven, and the members are free going. They swap out every sort of, just depends. But it was really great. We loved it, actually. I really liked that circle, actually, on Friday.
Yeah.
I just really, really thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah. So the circles that we go to are normally fall on a new moon and full moon. So we had a new moon circle.
Twice a month.
This time round, new moon in Pisces. I can't tell you what that means because I don't really know astrology. But I did learn that it was that the last moon. No, it's the astrology new year.
Yes.
Is that what they say?
Yes, because Pisces is the last.
So it's like a new beginning, a new birth. So,
and I'm a Pisces moon, so it was my new moon. So I made some good goals, I think.
Yes. We've actually had 3 new years this year.
New
so we
moons,
had the
end of January,
Gregorian calendar New Year. Then we had the Chinese New Year, and now we've had the astrological New Year.
I know.
So I think it's just great because it gives us a chance
to
3 goes
renegotiate our goals and be like, oh, I'm not going to meet them.
Yeah,
let's just change them up. Well, I set goals for like my emotional self and my self-worth and sort of things like that because of Pisces, right? So emotions, fluidity. Well, I'm quite fluid anyway. So we'll see. I just like putting the intentions down. I think even if you just voice it, straight away, you're already aware of that. So what do we want to come on and talk about? Apart from that, which was just really great. I just really enjoyed the new moon. I enjoyed the energy of everybody, and I just felt really good about it afterwards. We are on to talk about witches and how and what it means to you. What has really fueled this is, I suppose, because recently, well, you tell it about the Scottish tartan.
So there is a group in Scotland who have been kind of petitioning and working towards recognition for the witch trials.
Yeah.
Back in the, was it 1400s to the 1700s? It was about 350 years that they went for. And there was a lot of people, predominantly women, like if not all of them were women or female, who were tried as witches and basically murdered or executed. That's the word that I couldn't think of. And this happened, like it happened all over the world.
Yeah.
Lots of people have heard about the Salem witch trials. It was very dominant in Europe, obviously because Catholicism was very big in Europe. And also it was very big in the UK and Scotland. So this group of people they have been working for a very long time to get an apology for the witch trials, basically. And there was 3 things they were getting. It was an apology, it was a pardon, I think, and like a statue, a memorial for these people who were wrongly executed. And they've got all 3. And part of that now is they've created this tartan, and it has been an officially accepted tartan for the witches of Scotland.
But I feel, even though it's for Scotland, I feel like it sends a massive message across the entire witch community. Absolutely. Right across the globe.
Absolutely. And if you are part of the witches community or you follow any pages on Instagram or any blogs or anything like that, no doubt you will have already heard about this witches tartan and the pardons and the apologies and everything, because it's massive. Everybody's talking about it and everybody gets really emotional about it too. But the tartan that they have created, there is so much symbology in it as well. So there is black and grey, which talks about, which symbolizes death and the ashes. There is 3 strands of pink thread through it, which symbolizes the three things that they were going for. So the apology, the pardon, and the monument. Yeah. There is, I should probably look it up, but there's something to do with, I think it's 178. Let me just, because I'm probably talking
and like
a whole heap of hogwash. Like not hogwash. I am telling the truth, but I don't think I'm getting the facts right.
Yeah. So why do the Scots like tartans? Obviously, it's a pattern cloth. I'm actually just reading what the proper definition is because I want to be respectful to the Scottish culture.
Yeah.
So although I'm Irish, I'm not Scottish, and I actually don't believe I have any Scottish in my. I don't think I have any Scottish. I have English, Irish, and German in my ancestry. So Scottish tartan is a pattern cloth with crossing horizontal and vertical bands of various colours, forming a repeating pattern called a set. And wearing the tartan signifies pride and connection to one's Scottish ancestry or clan identity. So I wanted to just get that right for, to make sure that they understand, because I'm not actually Scottish myself. You have Scottish in your ancestry because your mum is.
So my mum's maiden name is Wallace, obviously very Scottish, and her ancestral line comes from Scotland.
Yeah.
And my dad is Irish. So I'll just read this so that I'm getting the facts right about this Scottish tartan. So this design was created to memorialise those who suffered as a result of the Witchcraft Act 1563 to 1736 in Scotland. This tartan will be woven to make products to help create a living memorial. So the black and grey colours are intended to represent both the dark times of this period and the ashes of those burnt. It also incorporates red and pink colours, symbolic of the legal tapes used to bind papers both during that time and now. The thread count of this design incorporates the years 1563 and 1736, represented as single entries. So what they do is they add, for 1563, they add 1 plus 5 plus 6 plus 3, which equals 15. And then 1736 added up equals 17. So these are shown in the black and grey surrounding a white check of 3 threads. These represent the core objectives of the organization who have created this tartan, which are to ensure a pardon, an apology, and a memorial are achieved. The large black sections of 173 threads is intended to represent the 173 years of darkness, and the red and pink sections are repeated 3 times for the 3 prime objectives of the Witches of Scotland organisation, which is the organisation who are petitioning for those 3 things, and this tartan that they have. So I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, you can see that.
So you've got the black, which are your main squares, and then in between the red, you've got red, white, and red. In between that, you've got the grey, and then right where my finger is like the pink.
Yeah.
So it's a very symbolic tartan. I think it's going to be extremely popular throughout the witch community. As Naomi said, it is specifically for the Witches of Scotland, but it means so much to the witch community across the world. And everybody is extremely excited.
It shows change, right? And it shows recognition and just even it's taken more seriously, right? Like the witchcraft community in general, it's taken seriously. It's taken as an actual spiritual. Well, I don't like the word religion because I don't see it as a religion. But it's seen as a spiritual practice and a very deep-seated, deep-rooted one that connects us to our land and our ancestry. So it's really important for Scotland. It's really important for the Glow. It's really important for witches. I don't have Scottish heritage in my line, but as Kira does. But I would still want to get some of it. Like I want to get my hands on some of it because I want to, well, first of all, I want to show my support to other witches.
Yeah.
I want to show my support for those that were killed during the trials all across the globe. And I think it's really important to just, I feel like when you are wearing it or you have it, you're just channeling all of that witch energy. You're channeling all of the ancestry. And although we're not saying everyone that obviously was executed weren't witches, that was obviously the case. They were predominantly just females who were wrongly accused and all sorts and it was all fear mongering and all sorts of stuff and led by the church and
some of the reasoning
religion
behind
and
them
things.
being executed
We
was,
know that.
you know, excuse me, because their husband cheated on them. Well, that must make you a witch. Like, some of it to us just sounds like pure nonsense, but that is actually what they were accused of, and how they came to believe that these people were witches. Like, anyway, that's a whole nother rabbit hole.
That's a whole story we'll tell on our own. But we just wanted to mention that because it obviously came out in the last week, and we wanted to just
acknowledge
it. We're really proud. I mean, again, it makes you proud to be a witch. It makes you proud to be a part of this community. Witch tartan is really significant. Really, really significant. So, and then Kira was saying, we sort of hear it in witch circles being talked about. And then when Kira came earlier today, she said it would actually be amazing as a cloak liner. So on the inside of your cloak. So I have a cloak, but I would totally get that lined if I had enough. I mean, I'd need a lot because it's quite big.
You'd need a lot for any cloak.
But it would be amazing. And again, I don't have Scottish heritage in my ancestry, but I would still wear the tartan because I'm showing my solidarity with my sisters and the females and innocents that died accused of such crimes. So I don't feel like, and again, the Scottish, like when you listen to the witches talking about, the Scottish witches talking about the tartan, it's for everybody. I mean, yes, it's specifically designed and it has been, they've pushed for this to memorialise the Scottish women who did die during the trials, but it's for everybody, right? It's completely and utterly global. Like it's actually such a big movement. I think it's much bigger than people think it is.
Yeah.
Much more significant.
Yeah.
And it's been all over the news. I mean, since when have you ever, I don't watch the news like a great deal, but I was watching it not long ago and it was literally headline news I watch the British news from here. I just go on to the News 24.
I don't watch the news either. I think it's
News 24 and you can get the BBC news and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was on there and I thought Jesus, mainstream media?
That's pretty good.
I mean, I'm sure there's people watching that going, what? What's that mean? What witches?
Yeah. But then they probably wouldn't understand the significance, like what I read out.
Yeah.
They'd be like, so?
Yeah, I think that was really nice what you read out because it really shows it's not just, it shows how much has gone into it.
Yeah.
And it shows that witches have created it, right? Because there is all that symbology. Because in witchcraft in general, there's so much symbology. There's so much, that's what we talk about when we craft a spell. And we say there's all that layering that we do to bring it into alignment, to bring it into the frequency we want to bring it into. And they've just layered it and layered it and layered it with so much thought around the color, the style, the weave count, the numerology that's involved in it. It's so beyond significant.
Yeah.
I feel it's so magical just in itself. And I have no doubt that it will be crafted and actually printed and woven together really meticulously with intention as well, because there's no way they've put that in place just to have it shipped off internationally to be just mass produced. It won't be. So
it's going to be so magical and have so much intention and so much power within the weave.
So much power in the weave. That's exactly right. We don't even have it yet, but I feel just having it, I'm oh my God, I feel the power in that.
Yeah.
So amazing. Oh, I'm just thinking, I'm just having all these ideas now because you're such, I'm pretty creative, but not with sewing or anything
You're
like that.
You're creative with putting your spells and stuff together.
And creative thinker and stuff, but
and writing.
Kira is very,
I'm the hands-on.
She's so she can just make anything. That's her favorite line. I could probably make that. I'm yeah. Easy peasy.
Yeah.
And Kira, I just feel I was sitting thinking about the tartan and everything. I was okay, we could get it for our cloaks and it would be amazing and oh my God. And then I was thinking you could make things for people, just something small. Like, I'm not thinking of a pocket tie or anything, but like something small, like
a little not a medicine pouch, because medicine pouches are very
no, but yeah, but like a
little-
band or something, or just something small for that you could give to somebody as a gift, or
Yeah.
you know, it could be anything, right? It could just
Yeah.
be like, because you know how you have talisman, like basically like a talisman when
Yeah.
it's cloth, that you would have on your altar. And it's even more significant if you have Scottish heritage,
Yeah.
because then, you know, it holds that tie to that, and it's like, it would be amazing for that.
Yeah, it's
Who was
just like
saying they
that.
had Scottish ancestry in the circle on Friday? Somebody said they have Scottish in their lineage. I want to
Was it Hartley?
say, no, I don't think it was Hartley. I think it was, God, who else were we talking to? Was it Sammy? Can't remember. I don't know. I can't remember now.
I don't know.
Or it could have been. Listen, I'm just throwing out
But,
names.
like,
I have no idea.
Even if you don't have Scottish heritage in your ancestry, it's still something that you can wear to connect you to that power.
Yeah.
So,
because I'm going to wear it for that. I'm wearing it to stand in solidarity with witches.
Yeah.
But I am also wearing it to connect to that power.
yeah. And when you're doing rituals or spell work or anything, you can have it with you to bring in that energy. Like, so normally when we put spells and stuff together, we'll have, as Naomi said earlier about layering, and we always bring in crystals of some sort. I wear a lot of crystals. Like, I've always got them on me. I usually have like bracelets, and I've got necklaces, and sometimes when I need a bit of extra oomph, I carry them in my bra and stuff like that. And they all have certain significance and certain connections. So just having a piece of this tartan with you when you're doing spell work, or, you know, when you just want to connect with the witch community, or like it'll hold so much power for that as well.
Yeah. So it's just quite amazing, really, actually. So yeah, if you don't know about it, because you've been living under a rock, then you should please research it.
Yeah,
Google it.
It's not hard to find.
It's not hard to find. It's everywhere. Watch the media outlets and just really understand the significance behind it and how much weight it has for the witch community and how much recognition.
Yeah.
So that got us into thinking, what does the witch sort of mean to you or us or as a collective? I personally, I don't like to define things too much because I don't really like things in boxes necessarily. I mean, I could go on a whole tangent here about this sort of stuff, but when I think of like definition, to me, when you define the witch, it's really just to help other people understand. Mm-hmm. Like, we define ourselves in a certain way to just help us with understanding it, but ultimately, I feel like it shouldn't be defined in a certain way, to a degree, because it should be open, right? We label everything, and it's like some things don't need to be labeled, but the labeling helps people to understand it. So I get that.
Yeah.
So what does the witch mean? Do you want to go first?
No, you go ahead.
What does a witch mean to me? Well, how do I define a witch? I define a witch personally. Again, this comes from a personal place. So, like, again, there's no gatekeeping on the craft. I hate that. I absolutely hate it. There is no gatekeeping. So when you think of defining the witch, it is the definition that is important for you, and it's how it makes you feel, and it's how you define yourself or your practice. And there are all different types of practice of witchcraft, and none are wrong. They're just all different, and they're different for good reason, because witchcraft is fluid. It changes from culture to culture. It changes on your ancestry or your family heritage or just the country that you're in, right? Like, Irish witchcraft is totally different to Australian witchcraft. And I found that difficult when I moved here, because I felt a real disconnect between myself and the land on which I was born on and grew up in. So it's important to know that, right? Just because you watch this does not mean it's like, this is not like, oh, that's the only, there's lots of different reasons for it to be defined differently. And also, you don't even have to call yourself a witch, right? Witch in itself is something completely different. So But the word, I call myself a witch because the witch means power to me. The witch is something that I suppose defines my spiritual. I don't even see it as a spiritual, what's the word I'm thinking of? I see it as that is me, that encompasses me as a whole, as an entire person. So when I say witch, that is me through and through. Like, I am not defined by the mother that I am, or the partner that I am, or the employee that I am in work. Like, I am defined by my witch self, because I feel in my bones that has been a part of me from an extremely young age, and it just signifies me as a person. And like, it's the most of what I'm made up of. So if I could do witchcraft forever, well, I'm planning to do it forever, but like, as a
do it all day every day,
and not have to make money and be a mother and stuff, I would do it. And I would never get bored of it, and I would never because I love it through and through. And I've been practicing for years. So
do you class yourself as a specific type of witch?
No. So there's a good point, Kira. There are types of witches. Again, the internet's full of stuff. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, though. I think they're fun, actually, because sometimes I do them a bit like when you used to do like a horoscope read back in the day in the paper. It'd be like, what does Mystic Meg say about me today? I love reading those because I just, like, they bring nostalgia for me, but also I take them as fun. Like, you don't have to be like, oh, I got this one, and I don't. It's like when you put yourself in the Hogwarts thing and you end up a Slytherin, and you're like, what the fuck? I don't want to be Gryffindor. Right? I think I got like Ravenclaw once, and I was like, who the hell cares about Ravenclaw? Like, what?
They suck.
Right, they suck. Harry Potter fan, don't come for us. But
they actually don't. They don't suck.
It's just nobody knows about them. Is Newt Newt? What did Newt belong to? Was he a Gryffindor? Anyway,
I don't know.
Let's not worry about it. So, yes, I don't classify myself as a type of witch. You could technically say I'm hereditary, but even at that just means I have lineage passed on throughout my family, which I do. And I've learned certain practices that my family does that I do most of those the same way, but then I also adapt them to suit the way I work now. Like, there's nobody in my family who's ever done tarot. But because my grandmother reads palms and does tea leaves, that has been passed on, so we can all read tea leaves. But I read tarot. Like, I feel like tarot was my what's the word? Like,
your calling.
I suppose you could call it a calling, but it's like how my granny reads. I don't even call her granny. I didn't say that, but I actually call her Nanar. She reads the tea leaves, and that's her, like. She's amazing at it, right? She
gets it.
She just gets it. I feel like tarot is that for me. I feel like it's just like a natural progression. Like, I've just discovered. So although I can read tea leaves, I don't read them that much. I just read them for myself. Well, I read them in work for people mostly, actually, because
I really want you to do mine.
Tarot, they get freaked out at tarot. So they're like,
some people do though.
Yeah, they do, which I get. So they would say things like, can you read, I'm like, yeah, I can read tea leaves. And they're like, oh, well, I'll have a tea leaf reading. I'm like, okay. I mean, it's the same as a tarot reading, but I don't get as much. You don't get as much. Tarot is much more in depth.
I think it's...
I just feel like that was my progression from my family. Like, as we moved through those things, mine was tarot. So I suppose that's what I'm passing on. But that's what heritage is about, right? You learn different things and you start to pass that forward. And maybe Bella will do tarot. Maybe she'll do something completely different. Maybe she'll actually be more into the tea leaves. I don't know. She does like tarot, but
she might be one of those. I remember years ago, I showed you and Paul the picture. My mum had it's kind of like a medium reading where someone actually, it was at Mind Body Spirit Festival that Naomi and I were at last time we did our podcast. But my mum and I went years ago, and this lady did a mediumship drawing.
Oh yeah,
of my mum, and it was kind of like an image.
It's a pity they didn't have that at the, because I so would have got one of those.
the lady was there last year, but she wasn't there this year. But you basically sit down and this lady will talk to you. And as she's talking, she'll draw a picture, and she doesn't necessarily know what she's drawing until the end of it. Like, it's just channeling through her.
Yeah.
Actually, when I go home, I'll take a
Try
photo.
and find it. Yeah,
I do have it because I showed it to you and Paul a couple of months back.
I think I remember that now.
When I had the fox fur that was my grandmother's, great grandmother's. So I'll take a photo and post it up. And it, at the time, I didn't particularly like it, but when I look at it now, I can really see a lot of my mum in that image. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's what Bella will do because she loves art.
Yeah, that's true. She's a big artist. So I suppose so a witch to me, so I suppose I could classify myself as hereditary, but I'm so much more than that, right? I'm much more eclectic because I am but then I know my whole birth chart. So my birth chart's extremely accurate in terms of like how I am. So I'm always seeking to learn new things. I'm always seeking to know things and expand my knowledge base. So to me, I'm very folktale related, folklore related. I love knowing about different folk tales and folklores in different cultures. And once I sort of like hit on things like that, I get really obsessed and wanting to know more and learning more. And then I sort of try to use that in my craft. Then I would use some of that folkloric information, or I try to be respectful like to the culture that it came from. Like, I don't change things, but then I wouldn't post about it, right? Like, if I'm doing it for myself, I just do it for myself. I would never like, because culture is really important, and I think it's really important to be respectful to because even witchcraft has its own culture in terms of like where they're from. Like, Italian witchcraft's totally different to British witchcraft and etc. But that's what's great about learning different things. Like, I learn different things and I take on aspects of those things, and then it constantly shapes my craft. So my craft is always changing, and it's constantly shifting in that way. But I love that. That's what allows me to be really creative and draw upon knowledge. And for whatever reason, I feel deeply connected to. The. It's not really ancestry, but for some reason the folklore, I feel really connected to the folklore. So when I bring that into my craft, it makes me feel like I have a lot of power behind my spells that I do. So whatever is in that obviously speaks to me somewhere in my line. And so that's how I sort of define the type of witch that I am, I guess. But I use everything. It does come from a very traditional base because that's where we sort of built it from. But I mean, I've even started speaking my, when I call in the circle, I call it in Latin.
Interesting.
So, and my dad was like, what? I was like, yeah. He's like, are you learning Latin? I was like, no, just thought I'd try something. So he was like, well, say something then. So I'm telling him, he's like, oh my God, it's amazing. I was like, I just don't know. Like I said, it just made me feel really connected whenever I said, and I just felt drawn to that. So a lot of stuff that I was researching was in Latin and had Latin sort of base from it, and comes from that, like Roman, right? Latin was developed from Roman, British and French, I want to say, or German. English. The English language it came from those three areas, Latin. And anyway, so I don't know where that's coming from, but this is the great thing about witchcraft. You don't have to know where it's coming from. You just have to follow it. It's like a thread. You follow it down that road and then it leads to other things. So it's completely fine to incorporate those things into your practice and follow where they might lead. Because although I know I have German, because my grandmother's German, my other grandmother's German, and we have a whole German family, and my dad obviously can speak fluent German, is half German. He looks German, for God's sake. Anywhere he goes, when he's on holiday, people talk to him in German, and he's like, he loves it. I say, like, he loves it. Because as soon as he starts talking in German back to people, Mom's like, here we go. I want to stick forks in my eyes. So he loves it. But I did mention to him, like, maybe speaking some of his spells in German. And I talk about like possibly doing that as well. But at the minute, Latin is what's calling to me, and I'm sort of researching that avenue. So I feel like that's really important, right? Sometimes when you find your lineage and you know where it comes from, when you speak the language or you feel drawn to the language, it creates an even bigger power behind it.
Well, they always say
I feel like I'm connected really deeply to ancestors when I say anything in Latin or I read it in Latin. So I don't know where that's, like I said, I have to do more research on it. But
they always say when the student is ready, the teacher shall appear.
Yep.
And maybe this is just, not that you necessarily have a specific Latin teacher, but I do believe that any sort of subject can be your teacher.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a physical person.
And we talk about this, especially with your upbringing, you know, your religious upbringing. I think what's really funny about it is that the Latin is, right, that's the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
So I find that interesting in itself too, because I'm like, why am I being called to that? Because I didn't grow up Catholic or Christian, like really. My parents were not really churchgoers, but I went to church. I think I went to church because there was nothing to do. We lived in the country and it was very, you know, and again, when you live in Northern Ireland, all the schools are Christian.
Yeah.
So you just learn about Christianity regardless.
Yeah,
it's slightly different now because they have like mixed schools and they try to cater to more cultures. But
when we went to school,
it wasn't like that. No.
I only knew of one mixed school.
Yeah, I only knew of one, but I was already out of school by then. That's the one in Carrick that it had just opened because my little brother ended up going to it, and he went and broke bread and everything, and they were like, he like did the whole thing, and because it was mixed. And then the teacher pulled him aside and they were like, Aaron, are you Catholic? And Aaron was like, no. He goes, okay, so you don't actually do that? It's like just for, and he was like, oh, what's the difference? He had like no idea. And then when Bella was like, she was learning Christianity in school because she knows I'm a witch. And I kept saying to her, but it's because I'm not against it. I'm like, you should learn about spirituality and all different types of religions because they're really important. Yeah. They're all relevant and they all exist as a spiritual education or dimension to whatever we want to believe in. And but Bella, I had to take her out of it because she was arguing with the RE teacher. So she's very argumentative and she was going, Jesus sounds like a witch. And she was like, he wasn't a witch. He was the son of God. And they were like, she was like, so he walked on water? That sounds like a witch to me. And then I told you that before. And then in her book that she was meant to be writing like scriptures and stuff in, she'd like drawn Jesus as an alien that came from like an alien planet. And he like came to visit Earth. And she was like, if he's not a witch, he's an alien. I was like, yeah, I think maybe we should just take you out of that. So I don't think that's the right place for you. So, but anyway, she was like, no, Bella. Bella was like, it doesn't sound right to me. Hang on. She was like, locusts came, a swarm of locusts. That sounds like a hex to me. So
she has a point though. Like,
I think
anyway,
it was just
I'm not
the way her little brain was working. Yeah. She was like, that makes no sense. Are you sure? Like, and at the start, she was like, who is this Jesus person? And we're like, no, Bella. So she has her own little conversations about stuff like that. But yes, so again, I'm not sure where that's leading to, but I'm more than happy to explore it because, like I said, I'm not anti-religion of any kind. I learn about I know a lot about the Christian faith, obviously, because just of how I grew up, and I went to church a lot and different things because our neighbours were churchgoers, and my mum was like, yeah, do you want to go with them? And I'd be like, yeah, okay. Off you go. So I do I love the Christian like religion in terms of like certain things that I know of, like believe in different things, but I don't follow it as a faith. Right? There's a lot of it that is not correct for me, and that's fine. That's just my personal opinion. But again, that speaks though to how I practice witchcraft. I like learning different types of religions, spiritual practices, and they don't have to be religions as such. They can just be Indian practices or Hindu or
Shamanism.
Whatever. So I see myself, I suppose, as an eclectic witch, if you want to define it as that, but it's more knowledge based and folklore based, and then it comes from that sort of hereditary. I have a hereditary foundation, I guess you could say, where I know where my roots are and I know how to get back to that. But my practice is deeply enrooted in that sort of family based practice, but then it totally spreads out everywhere.
Yeah.
And then, but then through that, I get to learn different things, and then I feel called to certain religions or certain cultures. And then I go, ooh, we should follow that. I could get a book on that. And then I call my parents and talk to them. And I'm like, did you know? And my mom's like, that sounds amazing. We should do a spell on that. I'm like, I know. And that's really how it works. Yeah. So I don't think any of them are wrong, but I do take those little things with a pinch of salt when they're like, are you a crystal witch? Are you a sea witch? It's like, yeah, you could be drawn to water. It could also be in your sign, right? Like astrologically.
Yeah.
You know, like when we met Stacey, she's an Aquarian sun sign, an Aquarian moon, and an Aquarian rising.
So she's full of water.
Like, amazing.
See, I don't understand astrology, so I don't really know.
Well, you don't have, what I'm saying is, but if you don't feel pushed to that, you don't have to do that either.
Yeah.
That's just, I like to know everything and a little bit of everything, but I guess then that also makes me not an expert in any of them because I have too many going on.
Yeah.
So I know lots of little weird facts about lots of different things. Oh no, I say that, but then I suppose I am deep rooted in the family British side, so yeah. I know that lore very deeply, but other than that, I just dabble, I guess you could say.
I wanted to circle back on something that you said at the start of defining a witch to you. You said that when you first came here to Australia, you found it really hard to connect with the land here.
Yes.
How did you overcome that, and how does that look in your practice today?
So how did So when I first came here, I had a real difficulty connecting to the land, and that was very visual for me and very visceral because it doesn't look like Ireland at all, right? No. Obviously, not that I expected it to, but it's very obvious that it doesn't. Even the greenery to me is like it's a different colored green, like the greens in Ireland are saturated, and because it gets so much rain too, right? Like it's like fluorescent green almost.
Yeah.
And the smell is different, and it's like marshy and woodlandy, and like even the flowers, it's very noticeable seasons in Ireland, and that was really. Although I guess when I was in Ireland, I never thought about it, I never had an awareness about it, but when I came here, I realized, holy shit, like, I don't know if it's spring, summer, autumn, winter, like I cannot tell anything. I don't know what the native flowers are, what comes out in, I know a little bit now, but even now I still don't really get into it. But then I just sort of had this, I was trying to fit myself into how the cycles are here. It didn't work. And then in the end, what I did was I just practiced Irish witchcraft in Australia. So I didn't actually incorporate myself in the land because it was too hard and I was getting very stressful and I felt a real disconnect.
Yeah.
So I think it was my mum maybe might have said that to me. She was like, so just practice your Sabbats based on the Northern Hemisphere. Because that's where you're from, that's where you grew up. And you still have roots. Just because you're in a different location doesn't mean that you don't have roots to your ancestry or your homeland. So you just practice a different way.
Yeah.
That helped. So then once I started doing that, I was able to just move past that whole thing about being disconnected. And I suppose even now, when I think about it, I still don't feel that connected to the Australian landscape. I feel like if I went out on a walk, I think I would feel like I've been out on walks, like we've been up to Tambourine, we've gone through that whole witches walk and everything, but that was horrendous, by the way. Don't do that without proper preparations. I think we thought it was a 5-minute walk and it was like nearly killed us by the time we got to the top. I was like, Jesus, it was so steep. And I don't feel the same connection. I think when I'm in Ireland, I feel really peaceful. And and it's everything about it. It's the smell, it's the way the mist in the morning you know, that mist that is just like, it's like morning mist. It's not like a fog. And there's a real silence as well. Like there's just this like, I don't know what it is. I just feel like when you grow up somewhere, there is just something about it. And I think, but again, that's where I'm going wrong, because I'm trying to think that it should feel like that here, which it's obviously never going to do because it's Australia. But I feel like, but again, I practice witchcraft just fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't hinder my practice in any way. And I suppose what I try to do is I try to get out on walks, and I try to go through the, the woodland areas or whatever. But if I was going to say anything about the Australian landscape and how I connect with it, I feel very connected to the sea more than the woodland areas. So in Ireland, it's probably the woodland areas that I'm more connected to, whereas in Australia, it feels like the sea. And I think that's because I live near the sea in Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
Like we live like a stone's throw away from the ocean. So I think the sea, it's the sea, right? The sea is just fully connected to the sea. So to me, whereas Australia is not connected to the land, like it's an island in itself.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm like, the sea is everywhere. It's like not disconnected. So maybe that's where I get the pull. It's weird, but I guess and that's okay too. Right? I feel like if you are an immigrant, I guess I'm an immigrant technically, you don't have to feel like if you're feeling a disconnect, that's complete. I feel that's normal to feel a disconnect unless you are really deep rooted in the land. I just find that a little bit more difficult.
I just thought it was a really important question to ask, because a lot of people who are in Australia, they may have been born here, but their roots may not be here.
Yeah.
So I was born here, but I don't really class myself as Australian because I grew up in Ireland. My parents are from Ireland. My ancestors are from Ireland and Scotland.
Yeah, you got no Australian blood.
Yeah, so I too, find it hard to connect to the land here and the Aboriginal culture here, and I guess it just doesn't feel like home to me. So I have certain things around me within my craft to help me connect.
Yes, that makes total sense.
So I was talking earlier about beads, this green.
I'm just going to turn these aircon's very
yeah,
cold.
I've got a blanket on. So while Naomi's doing that, these green beads that I'm wearing are actually Connemara marble, which is from the west coast of Ireland. My brother brought this back from his holiday last year. And so I wear this all the time because it helps me to connect to my roots and my ancestry. So I always have them on me. I have another little piece of Connemara marble, like a little slab of it that I have sitting on my altar. Just little things like that I have around that connects me back to my ancestry, because I'm not like Naomi where she knows that her ancestors were witches. I don't know any of that because I was brought up in a different
Because you were brought up
family.
very religious.
Yeah, I was brought up in a very religious, very Christian family. So witchcraft is absolutely of the devil in my father's eyes. And that's fine. Like Naomi, I don't have a problem with any religion. I don't believe that any religion is right or better over any other religion. I really believe that people connect to whatever feels right for them and, connects them to divine, to spirit, to whatever they want to call it. And that's totally fine. So when my kids asked me, do they have to believe in God? I'm like, no, but I would still like you to learn about God, because
that's what
at the end of the day, it's your choice. You get to choose. And although I was brought up in that religion, I have now, and it's taken me 45 years to get to this point, I don't believe that is the one true religion. I believe that everything is connected.
Mm-hmm.
And I would probably call myself, I don't even know if this is an actual term, but I would call myself a universal witch. So I don't practice any one particular type of witchcraft.
Yeah.
I like divination. I like crystals. I like herbs, kind of like kitchen witchery, but I get very stressed out about cooking. But I like to combine all of those because all of those help me feel connected in some way, shape, or form. And as Naomi said, there is no gatekeeping in the craft. You basically get to pick and choose what
or
it
there
is.
shouldn't be gatekeeping.
Yeah, there shouldn't. But you basically get to pick and choose what it is that feels right for you and connects you to spirit or to source or whatever God it is, or Jesus, or whatever it is that works for you. But I guess at the end of the day, you've just got to, don't try and fit into a mold. I found that when I first started looking into witchcraft, I was like, but I've got to be this, and I've got to be that, and I've got to have this, and I've got to do this, and I've got to read on this, and I've got to incorporate that in my spells. And I don't have to do any of that. Like, I just, as Naomi said, you find what feels right to you and you go down that path. And if it's not the right path, then you just take another path.
And it's okay for your path to change, right? It's okay for it to veer off slightly and then come back to it. There are things that I feel are staples in witchcraft that you always stick to.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the stuff is completely open to interpretation, it based on your style, on family, how you were brought up, how you see things. And then the more you learn, like, I can't specify this enough. When you're looking into witchcraft or you're starting off now, read, and read. Read all the books. If you don't want to buy them, go to the library. Read them. That is the only way to increase your knowledge and to learn. Because a lot of people are like, well, I don't know what my style is. It's like, you won't know till you practice.
That's it.
You have to read books and you have to practice different styles, and you just eventually find it. Because it's like saying, well, how will I know? You know.
You just know.
It's like when you're in bed fast asleep and you're like, I think my daughter's up. Or when you've just been a new mother and you sleep with one eye open and one ear open, even though you're asleep,
But it's like trying a new food too. You're not going to know if you like it or not until you try it. And when you try it and you go, ugh, I'm not eating that again, you don't like it. But if you go, oh, give me more of that, that's for you.
And you might come back to it as well. That's the other thing too. Like, sometimes I've tried different things and I've thought, I don't think that's for me. And then years later, it comes back to me. It comes back around in a cycle, right? Yeah. Like, that's the whole thing with witchcraft too. You find things constantly coming in and out of your practice.
Yeah.
Those are all perfectly normal and fine to do those things. So it is hard, but I feel like the starting off point is the hardest part. I mean, I suppose technically it's easier for me because I have a foundational practice anyway.
Yeah.
But, but I read tons all the time. I'm always reading new books and reading stuff on the internet. I'm literally on TarotTube 24/7. I do nothing but watch YouTube. That makes it sound like I do nothing. I'm super busy, but I don't go to bed till really late at night. So I spend my time watching different practices, different people doing things. I'm like, oh, I could do that. Or, oh, I have an idea that could spark this or spark that. And I think that's good. You're eclectic. I feel like most witchcraft is eclectic.
Yeah.
It can still come from a family-based tradition, but it's mostly eclectic, right? Like, I feel like, and any witch can come to any other witch, and you could still put a spell together with different practices.
Absolutely.
And it would still work.
Absolutely. Everybody has their forte. Everybody has what they're good at, or where their strengths are and where they don't have strengths. And that's why it's great to find a community of like-minded people.
Yeah.
Even if you don't want to call yourself a witch, find
spiritual seeker.
Find your people, and like, that's what we love about
find your
circles.
People. That's really good. Find your people. It's really hard to find your people, actually.
But again, you'll know. It's like tasting a food. You will know. You can get that vibe off people. Have you ever walked into a room and gone, something doesn't feel right here? They're not your people. If you walk into a room and you literally feel like you have known these people forever and you're meeting them for the first time, they're probably your people. Everybody has an energy about them. And when you kind of
vibe off their energy,
you just listen to it.
Yeah,
you just know. You just know. And there are some people where you just go, oh, hell no. I'll just keep my mouth shut and I won't talk to them.
You just vibe.
Yeah.
There's just like, you just know, right? Like I always come out of circle and I'm like, I love such and such, or I'll say to you, I just love this person, and I'll be like, I just love their vibe.
Usually it's me she's saying that she loves.
I say, girl, see when you speak in circle, I'm like, I love her vibe. It's a good job. We're almost related. So yeah, you got to find your vibe, find your people, find your little tribe, whoever it is. But I'm always willing to meet new people anyway, because like, you know, if we meet people out, which is not very often, but if we do and we really like them, we'll say to each other, oh, I so want to be friends with that person.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I feel like, you know, and then there's other ones we could be like, oh, no.
Yeah.
It's like, the vibe's not our vibe.
Here's the thing, like if you've randomly found this on YouTube, go and find our page on Instagram, The Green Witches of Ireland. I think, this is actually under your YouTube
yeah. So
channel,
I'm Hellebore Black. So I'm Hellebore Black. I have my own Instagram. We also have an Instagram together, The Green Witches of Ireland. Go to any of them. This is on my Hellebore Black YouTube, just because we were too lazy to create a new YouTube, and also it's too much hard work, because I was like, oh my god, we just
wanted to get it done and started. But go to definitely The Green Witches of Ireland. Have a look at the people that we follow. Naomi was talking about Tarot Tube that we watch. Find the people that we follow on there.
We should really put our handles on the YouTube. I will do that.
Yeah,
I will find out how to do it, and then I will do it.
But that's how you that's another way to find out information. Like find pages that you like, follow them, watch their videos on YouTube. Just be really careful. Like when you're searching stuff up on the internet, make sure it's a credible source.
Yes.
Take everything with a pinch of salt.
Yes.
And
make your own mind up about things.
Yes. Take on board what resonates with you, and anything that doesn't resonate, just leave it. You don't need to go and leave nasty comments and you're right and you're wrong, and none of that matters. Just find your people, follow them, watch them, learn from them. Leave us comments of, if you want to know anything, or you want to connect with anyone, or if you're in the Brisbane area and you want to come to the circles that we go to, just let us know. We're more than happy to share information, because that's how witches learn and grow. And that's how we build these communities. Yeah. And that's how we become really strong communities, like the Witches of Scotland. Like, I'm still thinking about that tartan.
I know. Solidarity and it's women, right? Solidarity and women, solidarity and witches. And if you don't define yourself as a witch, or you don't like the term, don't call yourself it. That's fine. Call yourself whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
Right? You can still practice witchcraft and not define yourself as a witch. It's just a word. At the end of the day, it is just a word, but words also hold power. So for me, witch holds power, and that is, I'm okay to do that.
But if you want to call
define yourself whatever you want.
A wizard, or a magical being, or a spiritual being.
A maga, or a strega.
A what?
A maga. It's a magician, or witch in Latin, I want to say.
What's strega?
A strega is a witch as well, but I think, don't come for me, cool. I'm pretty sure it's either Slavic, strega, the strega witch, Striga, or it could be Striga, strega. There's a folklore, the reason I know that is because there's a folklore around it where the witch, I think I've told you, because I put it in one of my stories, where the witch comes and she feeds on the babies.
Yes.
As a fly or a bee.
Yeah.
Once the mothers have put them down, and then the only way to cure the babies is for the witch to spit in their mouth. It's a whole thing. It's a whole folklore. I'll do a folklore. We'll do a folklore session. Yeah.
But what
it's a great story, though.
What I'm saying is, find what works for you and run with that. I thought that I had to be a specific type of witch, like a crystal witch, or an eclectic witch, or a divination witch, or whatever. I find that calling myself a universal witch, that just sits with me.
Yeah.
So that's what I
am. Like that term for you.
Yeah. That's what I am.
I feel like that does sum you up. Just put you in a little box. We were to put you in a little box. We were to bundle you up right now, put you in a little box. We just slap that label on.
Universal is not little. Universal
no, it's massive. It's cosmic.
And here's the thing. I'm not normally an out there person. I am very introverted, very much a closet witch within
your area.
Yeah. And that's fine because that works for me. But
I feel like it's getting more and more. Like I wore this hag t-shirt to work the other day. It's because I was going to Circle afterwards, and I was like, I'm just going to wear my purple hag shirt. And one of the girls there was like, oh my God, I love your shirt, and blah, blah, blah. And then another girl, and like my big director was there. So he's like, and another girl was like, Naomi, doesn't that mean like a cranky old lady or something? And I was like, totally does. Hence why I'm wearing it. And then like my director was there, and he was like, oh, I thought it meant like an Irish witch. And I was like, it does mean that too. No, I didn't have to say anything, but I was like, yeah, because I'm all those things.
You see, to me, hag embodies the crone energy.
Yes.
Like
hag actually means a lot. People actually always assume it means an old haggard lady, like a hag, like a grotesque lady.
Yeah.
But a hag is actually just a word for a witch.
Yeah.
Just means witch. It doesn't actually mean an old lady. It can mean old lady. It can mean crone, but it actually just means witch. And I like to wear it because I love it. And you're redefining the word. It's like, yeah, you can call me a hag if you want, but that's actually what it means. And it was a derogative term for a witch back in the trials when they were like, oh, she's a hag. She's a grotesque old lady who, heals people with herbs and stuff.
But that's like the original word witch too. Like when you say witch to someone who is not within the craft or not knowledgeable about the craft, they automatically think of usually the Wicked Witch from the West in The Wizard of Oz.
Who is also misunderstood if you know the actual story of the Wicked Witch of the West. But anyway.
The green, haggard lady with the long, crooked nose and the black pointy hat and the cackle and the, she's just pure evil. And
her hat was amazing, though. She had an amazing hat and, like, her attire. That Victorian witch high neck collar with the frills. Oh. I'm like, oh, it looks so good.
We need to get some of those. Or make them.
Just make them out of the Scottish tartan.
Anyway, that's
nor here nor there. But yes, I totally agree. I think, it's defined as lots of different things, right? And it just shows people's knowledge behind things. But you still shouldn't be afraid to wear it. Like, be proud. And I say this more and more. I say it to you, but I take it on as well. Like if somebody finds out I'm a witch or I practice witchcraft or something to that effect, I don't try to make an excuse. Not that I made an excuse before, but I don't try to. I think what we do sometimes is we try to soften the blow by saying, oh, well, it just means. So you sort of are making it's just like a disclaimer that you're putting out. I just try to actually say, if someone asks me directly, I just say yes and leave it out there. I don't define it. I just say yes and I shut my mouth. And I just leave it out there in the ether. I'm like, just let it be in the space between us. And if you want, and most people go, oh, okay.
They can make their own assumptions or they can ask questions.
I don't have to, it's like, great. And they're like, okay. And most people literally go, okay. And they just leave. So I feel like we're all in the closet to some degree. But that's okay too. You don't have to go around projecting it to everybody.
No.
I'm not in the closet because I choose to be in the closet. It's just a private thing to me that's part of my life and always has been. So I just don't feel the need to share it with anybody unless I have to, because we're doing this podcast or someone asks me directly. But I do think as you walk the witch path and you become more and more ingrained in it and it just becomes a massive part of your life, it sort of almost takes over. So it sort of merges with your life anyway, your personal life and different things. And that's okay. Like, it's okay to like have crystals out on your desk at work if you want to.
I do. I actually.
But you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it sort of seeps its way in.
I had one of the surgeons come up to me the other day because I had a piece of amethyst sitting in front of on my desk, and he just walked up to me. It was the first time I'd met him, and he walked up and he was like, "What's that for?" And I was like, "It actually just helps to keep me calm while I'm in this crazy area." And he was like, "Okay," and walked off. He asked me a question, I answered it. I didn't need to elaborate. I didn't need to say, well, actually, I'm a practicing witch, and And
let me just tell you quickly what that means.
So that one's to keep me calm. This one connects me. This is to get rid of your shitty energy from me. And this one also keeps me calm.
But the thing is too, people are curious, but also rude. Like, I would never walk up to someone's desk and just immediately point something out and go, what's that for? It's like, do you even know them? Like, you don't know their religious background, you don't know their culture, you don't know their history. It's like, it could be something, it could be the ashes of their dead great grandmother for all you know.
That's it.
And it's like don't just go and like, you know, and it's the way they say it, as if like, you know, they find it weird and they're like, what is that? And it's like, how about none of your business? Did you come here for something? Well, get on with it and get out.
You see, he was just walking past, but he should have been in his room consulting with patients instead of.
But do you know what I mean? So there is a degree there. It's a curiosity, but it also comes with this sort of blunt rudeness too. And I think it's just a way of navigating that.
People don't know. They don't know what they don't know, and I think it's one of those areas in life where
don't feel suppressed just because somebody thinks it's weird.
But they're afraid. Like, I think they're afraid of what it means and what, you know, if they ask too many questions, are we going to put a hex on them or, you know, put a spell on them or something?
And that's only true sometimes. It's not true all the time.
Only when it's needed.
Only when it's needed and necessary.
Sometimes it's not. But, you know, yeah, next time someone asks, you just give them the straight answer and leave it at that.
I love that. Give them the straight answer. Just give them a straight answer and just leave it in the space. Leave that word out in the space and just be like, okay.
You don't need to explain. You don't need to apologize.
You don't need to be defensive about it either. You just say, because it is. It is what it is. Okay? So I think that's good. Did we really define that? I don't know. I'm just thinking we had the theme of like,
what does witch mean to you?
What does witch mean to you? But I feel like we did define that. You know, it's solidarity within women and people who practice witchcraft. We could talk more about what that actually is.
Yeah, but that's not to say that only women can be witches. Naomi's dad is a witch. We just have a lot of power. I nearly said more power. Is that a bit wrong?
No. Anyone can be
divine feminine energy.
Yeah, anyone can be witch. Some of my favorite authors are male witches, and I really enjoy their take on things and how they how they practice the craft. But then I have more female like people I admire as authors more than males. But that's just the way it is. But I don't think it matters. It's not gender related. Although yes, women are. I just don't like to put the labels on it. But I say that, again, we're getting into different territory, but I don't put labels on things like that there. But it is a predominantly, like, it is the female divine and the feminine. And, not that there's gatekeeping in the craft, which I keep saying that there really isn't, but the divine, at the end of the day, the divine that came from the void, or however you want to decide how you believe the spiritual realm works, they were androgynous, right? So they weren't male or female, and they broke apart into separate beings. That was the whole point of the divine. The divine void was a infinite energy, and over millennial they became conscious thought, and through that conscious thought they started to be aware of their surroundings and aware of their existence. And then again, through millennial, that diverged and broke apart, and part of it became male and part of it became female, which is where we see the sun is male and the female is the moon, and it broke apart and created the earth. And it's another story. We could go through that at a later time.
Podcast.
It's male and female, because there is male and female aspects to the craft. Obviously, there's the masculine energy and the female energy, but the female is the divine self. It is the womb. It is the creation of life. So it is, there's no point saying, oh, it's not. Like, it is defined as male and female. It is defined as that gender sort of typical norm.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you can practice it no matter what you classify yourself. It's not. That just means it's not like it's got nothing to do with whether you identify as a male or a female. It's got nothing to do with that, or sexual orientation. It's to do with, it's the female archetype and the male archetype.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's the archetypal energy, not actually, whether your gender is female or male or undefined. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Fluid, makes no difference.
Yeah.
So that's, again, a story for another time, because there's lots of information about that on the web too, and so there should be, because we live in a more modern age, and the craft changes with the modern take on everything. So, but yeah, I suppose we're two females talking to it from a female point of view and from the feminine divine. That's how we're giving our take on it, just like how the male authors that I read and follow, they come from a more masculine point of view. They still talk about the feminine divine and how she is the all of everything, but they're speaking from male counter, that male archetypal energy. So, that's it, right? We went actually a little bit over time, I think, because we talked so much about. It's a very interesting topic, actually, and I think it's a very relevant topic because lots of people find it. They feel like they should be a certain level maybe before they call themselves a witch as well, or they're, baby witches and all sorts of things. And it's like,
whatever.
There's just people who know more and people who don't. And there's people who practice a different way than you. There's, like I say, there's no gatekeeping. If you're starting off on the path, good for you.
And it's just always going to be like that. There's always going to be people who have been practicing longer or who know more. Of course there is.
And then there's just like there'll be people who are just beginning now. Yep. That's just the way the world works. At the end, it doesn't matter. It's your journey. It's all about your journey and how you're starting off and what you believe and what you're following and where your soul and your spiritual energy is taking you. Like, where do you see it? What books are you drawn to? What history are you drawn to? What type of witchcraft are you drawn to? Start reading them. See what happens.
And if you can't find a type that works for you, make one up.
Yeah. Think about, I think it's always good to know your history if you can. If you can find out your family history to some degree, it's good to find that out because sometimes that can give you an idea of areas that you could look at or research or read, like folklore in that area, whatever, that might sort of hit something within you that makes you go, ooh,
Yeah.
So, and again, it can be different from your parents and different things, like I said.
Yeah.
I don't particularly feel drawn to the German side of our witchcraft, but I feel drawn to the Latin stuff, but that's maybe not, that just maybe means that could come later, or I might never be drawn to that.
Yeah.
Right? You're drawn to the very Irish side, but you don't know if you'll be drawn to the Scottish side until you start finding out more about that. If it's very, well, Ireland and Scotland are very,
very similar.
Yeah. There's a lot of overlap.
I have a funny feeling there may be some lineage in Spain.
Oh yeah, we have talked about that multiple times. And we feel like that's very prominent though. Like, I feel like, we don't know, we're just guessing, but I know from the discussions I've had with my partner and everything that certainly that Spanish side, I think, has a very witchy spiritual, I think that's quite a significant part of your heritage because I see it come up in a lot of things.
Yeah.
And we feel like it could only come from that area. So again, we're going to do research on it, but that's the beauty of it too, right? We get to start to learn more about ourselves and we start to discover about ourselves and explore different avenues and see what they mean to us.
Yeah.
So maybe we should know what we should do. Although I know about my family history, we don't know the German side yet just because of the war and Hitler and everything. It was all sort of and my grandmother didn't speak about a lot of stuff, so we uncovered things later on. There's a lot of stuff that we still don't know because of certain things. It's family secrets, right? Same with you, right? Because your dad doesn't talk about it. And also your dad was not adopted, but his mother died very young, so you never met her and he had a stepmother and there's a lot of that's sort of in the background. We should do a ancestry, the DNA one.
Yeah,
we should do the DNA one and then read out our results. That'd be really good. We should do that.
I'll check in with Hartley and ask her.
Yeah, and then we can we'll be reading stuff. We'll be like, what?
Holy moly! Anyway,
that's it.
It's a long one. Thanks for watching.
Yes. Thanks for watching. We don't know what we'll do in the next fortnight, but we might do some divination actually because we've been meaning to do that.
Yeah.
We're going to do some divination. I'm going to read cards and tarot, oracle, might throw in a couple of rune decks. Not decks, sorry, actual runes. All different types.
We do have a rune deck though.
We do have a rune deck as well. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. If you want to know anything in particular, leave us a comment below. Remember to subscribe. Is that what they say for YouTube?
Yeah. Subscribe. Yeah. It doesn't matter. We want to do this because we want to do it.
Yeah.
We don't really care about that stuff.
We just like chatting, and we just thought we would record it so that other people can hear what we chat about. And if you want to get in on
a little
action,
insight into our lives.
Yeah. Or jump over to Instagram.
Yes,
DM
we're coming
us.
live from my house today. We're going to try and alternate it so that it's like Kira, because we could do it online, and we might have to at some point, like if one of us is dying of the cold or something. But
I'll just come and give you my lurgy.
I feel like I just like it better when we're together.
Yeah, it just makes it easier. Yeah, because we just talk random, and that's what these are. They're just random chats that kind of evolve.
Random chats from two witches who come from completely different backgrounds, but we are sisters by law. And we obviously just wanted to, like, you know, I just feel like there's not a lot out there. Well, I suppose there is a lot out there.
There's a lot out there, but you've got to try and filter out the noise.
Yes.
And
there's a lot of crap out there.
We just hope that, you know, what
there's
we
me
share.
Gatekeeping when I just said there's no gatekeeping in the craft.
But there's not. It's not gatekeeping.
There's
a
but there is
noise,
crap out there too.
And you've got to find what resonates for you. And if this resonates, then great. If this sparks some sort of,
if you think we're just two old hags talking shit,
if this sparks some sort of thought or curiosity, then follow that.
Yes.
Just see where it takes you.
Yes.
And let us know. We'd love to hear what's going on in your journey.
Yeah.
Open to chat.
Okay. Well, till the next time. Goodbye.